Okay, I turned my Bluetooth off, so maybe we're getting some crazy feedback trying to get on with Stephanie here. Let's see. Try this one more time. Hopefully it'll work. How's everybody doing? Welcome to Small Talk. Okay, here she is. Hopefully this works. Oh, this is great.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me okay?
Okay. I can. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I put my earbuds in as per my wonderful other half suggestion. So I'm just going to look like this the whole time. Okay.
Okay, cool. So this sounds totally cool for me. So it sounds
I'm fine. Yeah.
All right, perfect. I'm glad this worked out because I was getting nervous. I was just like, what the hell? I was like scrambling through my phone, just like what the fuck is there? I turned my Bluetooth on and off, like my Wi-Fi on and off. I'm like, what is happening? Anyway, cool. I'm gonna take a drink of water here.
All right, here we
settle
are.
Down.
I know now that the ID can pass and go away.
Yes. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. This is the way that I've been describing it is like, obviously, as you know better than anybody, which is part of the reason I'm so excited to talk to you tonight, is there's no live concerts going on. There's everyone's trying to get creative and see like I know. Everyone's trying to get creative and see like, you know, what we can do. Everyone, you know, a lot of people are doing the live performance streams. So we had this album campaign that we were gearing up towards. You know, first we tried to wait COVID out. That sounds like such a joke at this point because it's been freaking 6 months. But at first, it's like you're not sure how long it's going to go. So we're like, all right, let's push back a month. Let's push back 2 months. Let's see where we are. Finally, we're like, you know what? We're going to be sitting on this thing even longer than we already have been, which was, frankly, years. So it's like, let's just start getting the ball rolling and get some stuff out. And then one of the sort of ideas to get the word out was doing, you know, live streams, but in a different way rather than just like, hey, watch me play again, you know, who cares? We're trying to have we wanted to do something different, and the idea, the sort of play on the album title Small World, we're like, all right, we'll call it Small Talk and we'll get like some friends and cool people on. So and you are definitely a friend and a cool person and someone that we've worked with, and I'm excited.
Yes.
I'm excited to have you on. I have a bunch of things that I want to get to that I think are really interesting about the work that you've done and what you're doing. But I thought it'd be funny, like, to start off with, we were actually working together on sort of like the day that things shut down in New York.
Oh, yeah.
We were at least supposed to.
It was so nerve-wracking.
I know.
I didn't know what to expect from it. And you don't know in a situation like that, are you overreacting? Are you underreacting?
Yeah.
And I remember at that point in time, I just really erred on the side of caution. And I'm glad I did because it got really bad. And then I felt like the photo shoot that we ended up doing was a lot of fun, even though we got rained on at the end.
Yeah.
And my friend Carrie, who just joined here, saw me after. She's like, what happened to you? like I was shooting in the rain. It was awesome.
It was, it ended up working out for sure, but it was just so interesting that like, I feel like the shoot was supposed to be on a Sunday in March, and we were having a conversation on that Saturday, and we decided not to do it. And then like that Tuesday was St. Patrick's Day. And I remember that everything got shut down in New York that Tuesday because my family's bar, we were supposed to. Yeah, so that's why it sticks out so much as like, holy shit, that was like the moment. Like I'll never forget that, you know? Like I'll remember like where I was when like so I mean, kind of to segue from that, I just wanted to jump right into like,
yeah, sure.
If you could like if you could walk us through what navigating, you know, the pandemic has been like for you, from the side of the live venue side, you know, I mean, your bread and butter is live shows. So I mean,
Yes.
what has this been like, you know?
It's been rewarding on a personal level. It's been very confusing on a professional level and very inconsistent. I feel like last year and into 2020, I really hit a stride with what I was doing. I felt like I was doing some really good work and I was getting some really great clients. And then it just ended.
Yeah.
Boom. Like it happened for everyone else.
Yeah.
So I haven't felt lonely in that sense, but I definitely had to, in order to fight the anxiety that came from that, I had to focus on other things. So I've turned to working out a lot, and that's how I've navigated it. I found that running, biking, doing workouts has just just kept me sane.
Yeah.
Through all of this. I want live shows to come back, but I don't know when that's going to happen. You know, I want my clients back. I want the good times back. And until then, I'm just going to go running. I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it. And as far as like doing actual work and working with bands still, I've been trying to keep my hand in the game. Like we did a photo shoot, like right when things started lifting.
Right.
So I've done a little bit of that, but I've tried to branch out into interviewing people and finding things that interest me, or working more. I did a video interview with two members of local hardcore bands, Flora and Creature, and I feel like listening to them, I learned a lot. So I'm really just trying to learn. I'm trying to use this time to learn and use it wisely, if there is a way to do that. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I think you brought up exercise, which I think is so interesting. More so, you know, everyone talks about exercise from, you know, you should exercise, but
of course,
the mental side of it is something that I've found, and I'm no, you know, big heavy lifter.
Oh, sure you are.
I mean, if you couldn't tell, and I'm not like bench pressing 200. But
I thought you did. I'm joking.
I've been going on these like extremely long walks.
Yeah.
You know, for like hours. And you know, once I kind of have my shit done for the day, if you will. And I've found, you know, because I'm also not drinking right now. So between those two things, thanks. I've been trying, you know, it's been going well. It's hard. It's hard. I mean, I always, the way that I describe it is like, without sounding too cliche, like one day at a time thing, but it's more like, I can't put it like, I don't know what the date is. Like, I'm like, am I going to go for 6 months? Am I going to go for, you know, I just hit 4 months. So I don't know, but doing these like really long walks have helped me a lot. And I noticed that it seems like to be a pretty important part of your life now. Especially right?
Well, it was before, but I find that it helps me clear my head. I feel physically stronger.
Yeah.
I feel like I can focus on little things. Like, for example, I went to yoga tonight, and when you have to balance, like, I don't know about you guys, anybody watching, but balance is like my weakest thing in anything, especially on my left leg, because I broke my foot a few years ago. So I have to really focus on one point just to maintain my balance. And I'll find myself analyzing like a leaf in a tree, or analyzing a piece of gum that's stuck to the cement. And it takes me out of all of this insanity that we're living in. And it just has me focus on something in my immediate environment. It's the little things like that when nothing else is really working, it's the little things that help, like focusing on a piece of gum.
It's almost like returning back to simpler times in a way, where it's like, you know, in like, I don't know, older times where it'd be like, hey, it's a miracle to just like experience, you know, nature, or like walking. I think like there's something about the human experience that's always going to be like an ingredient, you know, like your surroundings, or like exercise. It's interesting how like COVID has kind of been like a return to that in a lot of ways. Whereas like in the past, it's always like, go, like, you got to crush it. You got to like, you know, fit everything you can into your schedule. Otherwise you're a piece of shit. And that's like, yeah.
It's the New York mentality too.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been saying recently, I'm like, I don't know if I can fully go back to that life.
Yep.
I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to.
Yes, exactly. I've said the same thing. And also just about, it makes you realize, like, you know, for me personally, and I'm always careful with how I describe this because I don't want to seem like I'm, you know, making light of the situation of COVID or anything, but the time to like reflect and focus on, you know, the band, frankly, and like creative things. You know, I started a podcast with my brother, you know,
right.
Like,
I saw
just like different things that, you know, I'm like, man, I'm not going back to like working fucking jobs that are a grind. And like, you know, I don't know how I'm going to do that.
I know
I'm
that
not
feeling.
saying I have
no idea.
Yeah.
One day.
Yeah. But no, it's funny you say that because, I totally feel that. And it's almost been like this other dimension or door has like been opened, and it's been like, look, you know, you don't have to live like, you don't have to accept the things that you were accepting without realizing sort of like the strain that it was like having on you, you know?
Yeah, I spoke with someone because I've been conducting like my own interviews, and I did a video interview the other day, which I will finish when I finish it. And that is part of the mentality of like, I don't want to stress. I'm not in a rush. I'm here just skill building and chatting with people. But I was saying that towards the end, and I mean the end of the old life.
Yeah.
I felt happy at my achievements, and I felt happy about what I was doing. But in my own personal level, I didn't feel any joy. I know that sounds really cheesy, but I felt like I was just going from A to B to C to D and just do, that I didn't have time to step back and to think about gum on the cement, stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Just to focus on something that didn't need words.
Yeah.
Or action. I that makes any sense. But
no, it makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
I'm curious as to like, because I feel like there's a lot of parallels to be made just across the spectrum of like any sort of creative endeavor that starts turning towards professional.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it starts as maybe an idea or an interest, and then it grows into maybe a hobby or something you're working at, and then all of a sudden it takes this turn and you're working for Brooklyn Vegan and Live Nation.
Yeah.
You know, like for me personally, I've experienced like, you know, my own versions of those of that sort of thing.
Sure.
I'm wondering, like, can you walk us through, you know, how you got from an interest to a hobby to a profession, and do you deal with things like imposter syndrome, for instance,
every day?
You know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like the whole like, wow.
I completely know.
Yeah.
When I was sitting down to, like, when I was thinking about doing this, I'm like, why does he want to talk to me? I'm like, what do I have to offer? And that's imposter syndrome. And I'm sure you feel that. Like, why would anybody want to listen to my album when all these... Sorry, I got a phone call. When all of these awesome organizations are... I had to decline it. Couldn't talk to them right now. But let me... Yeah, they came in. They're like, "You're an imposter." It was the potential spam call. So let's start in Savannah, Georgia, in 2010, and I will do my best to not make this long-winded. But I went to SCAD, and my roommate at the time, Rose, said to me, she's like, "All you do is sit in your room and draw. You need to go out," because I was like probably getting crazy, and she noticed it. So I had a camera, and a friend of ours, Pat Longstreth, he ran a website called New York is Boring. So I was like, I like bands. So I was like, I'm going to take pictures of bands. So I just sort of went out to these venues, and I like wrote stuff, and I took some mediocre photos with a mediocre camera, and like that was it. But I am how I am, and it always needs to go to another level, to another level, to another level. So I kept doing it. And then I came back to New York and I couldn't stop doing it. And I had my own blog. And then I was like, I'm done with it. I don't want to do it anymore. And then I ended up, Sam Hoyos from Playing Dead introduced me to Dana from Big Picture Media. So I started doing like volunteer photographer stuff for CMJ.
Wait, I don't mean to interject, but is Big Picture Media, they're a PR company, right?
Yes, they are a PR company. So Big Picture Media ran the PR for CMJ. Yeah, they're pretty big. I mean, to use that term. But Sam had introduced me via email to Dana, who was running the PR for CMJ. He's like, I have this friend who does this for this music festival, which I didn't know about. And, you know, they do volunteer photographers. Would you want to do it? So I was like, yeah, sure. And I met Sam at Mr. Beery's. Like, I met everybody. And so I ended up doing it. And then I ended up doing it the next year. But me being how I am, that wasn't enough. I needed to ascend.
Yes.
Because I have problems, I feel.
Me too. Me too. I feel you. I get it. I
have
totally
problems. Like, I have ambition issues.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want to run this. So I ended up as the curator, because it was like the hot term at the time in like 2013. I was like the photo curator under the director, and after Victor Castro, who I love. And after 2 years of that, in 2015, I became the director, and I did it. And then CMJ died. So, so that's what happened. That's what I killed it. No, it killed itself. So CMJ died. That was great. That was 5 years ago this month. And then after that was over, I was like, well, I need to do other things now. So someone introduced me to the Brooklyn Vegan team. And so I ended up shooting for them. And that's been since 2016 now. It's been like 4 years. Yeah. And then Christian McKnight, who works for Live Nation, got me on their photo team. And then I met so-and-so who did this. And that's just kind of how it happens in this industry.
Exactly.
It's just, you go out and you chit chat, and I'm chatty, and I just end up meeting people. And I like to feel that I put my money where my mouth is, in a way, is that I'm not just chatty and friendly, is 100%. That I like to think I'm easy to work with. I like to think I take feedback well enough.
Absolutely.
And I'm friendly. I try to be nice. I try not to be like a jerk. I just do that in my personal life. I'm kidding, right? I'm laughing. I'm doing that because Matt's right there, and he would just make jokes. But but yeah.
No, I could vouch for all of that. All
of that thank you.
Yes.
So that's the walkthrough.
Right. So, but I mean, how do you deal with like are you okay accepting that, like, all right, Brooklyn Vegan is hiring me, Live Nation, Kerrang magazine, like, how do you fight off the demons, of the negativity, or is it not an issue for you?
I just keep doing more stuff.
I like it.
I just keep doing more stuff, because I feel like I watch what goes on around me. I watch what's being produced. Yeah. And I say, how can I create this for me? What's the next step? What do I have to do? And I just keep going. So I wonder, just going back to the first question, in the post-COVID world, like, am I just automatically going to go back to that when everything fires up on all cylinders again? Or am I going to take a different approach? And that remains to be seen.
Yeah. How specific do you get with your goals, like short term versus long term? Like, if you're like, all right, I want to be the curator of CMJ, like, that's pretty specific. But do you have like sort of specific goals as well as getting to the long term goals, or is it more of just you take what happens as it comes? A
little bit of both. I feel like I set my sights on things that I want, and it could take a really, really, really long time.
Absolutely.
Like, overnight success doesn't happen overnight. It's years upon years of crying and like not sleeping. And then all of a sudden people think like, oh, you're an overnight success. And I'm like, actually, no, I'm not, really not.
Yes.
But I put my eye on prizes. Like, I say, I want this and I want that. I'm going to go for that. But if it doesn't happen, something else happens that's equally as good.
100%.
So I always remain flexible. And especially in this COVID situation, I think, Like, I was supposed to get married next weekend.
Yeah.
That's not happening.
Yeah.
So you have to remain flexible.
Yeah, I know. I was supposed to be in Ireland earlier last month for my cousin his wedding, and obviously, yeah, that wasn't happening either. But yeah, what can you do? I'm wondering what you're hearing about, and I know it's mostly, essentially guessing at this point, but
yeah.
Are you hearing anything within the industry in terms of what venues are thinking as like a plan to come back? Or is it just totally still up in the air?
Totally still. Totally
Isn't
still.
that amazing that we're this far deep in it and it's still like, so they're not even talking about, spring, summer 2021. They're just like, because I know some bands are rescheduling their tours, like the really big bands. I guess.
Yeah, sure.
But who's to say if that's actually going to happen or not? But like, like a Brooklyn Steel or like a, something like that. They're not booking shit, right? It's just,
I don't know.
Yeah.
If that stuff is happening, that's not something that I'm privy to, because it's just not my area of expertise. Like, I'm not sure. I've seen a few on Facebook. I've seen some events pop up for tours in 2021. Right. But I was seeing there was a Life of Agony show that was scheduled for April that I was supposed to shoot that was rescheduled for October, which is now canceled. So it's all, I don't think anyone really knows for sure. I would like it to come back.
Yeah. So even those really, those larger companies that I mentioned that you work with, they're not talking about anything either.
Not that I know of.
Yeah.
It's just not my like department. I just don't work in it. I'll find out when stuff starts getting booked and they need images.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, speaking of images, you have quite a number of them on on your social media, and I was going through some of them, and I picked a couple.
Oh, okay.
I thought it would be fun, if you don't mind, if I could sort of
go for it.
Bring up a couple, and then if maybe you could just speak to what the experience was, like how it came about and how it went.
I hope you found one where I got kicked or like hit or something.
I didn't see that. I must have missed that.
No, you wouldn't get the kick, but I'll tell you if you found one.
Well, why don't we start there?
Okay, awesome.
Okay. Are you saying someone kicked you?
Oh yeah, I've been like, so I tend to favor well, it happens. I tend to favor heavier music, and those situations are precarious, and it's the risk you assume is that you could get your butt kicked, and you just, that's what you deal with.
Remember when Josh Homme supposedly kicked a photographer?
Yeah, I do remember that.
I guess it's on video, right? So it's not supposedly.
It looked pretty intentional, because she had some shots before he did it, and he looked like he was yelling at her. So I feel like he got caught up in some douchebag moment and just hauled off.
Yeah.
Hopefully he learned something.
Yeah. Don't kick people in the head.
Yeah, pretty much.
Who would have thought you needed to learn that? That's another story. But
he's a rock star.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So I have a few picked out. So how about Bikini Kill?
Oh, Bikini Kill.
To me, that's so cool. What was that experience like?
That experience wasn't supposed to happen, because I remember putting in the request for it, and when I sent the email asking for it, it was the day they announced the shows, and I said, I know everyone and their mother wants this.
Right.
So I ended up on the waiting list with everybody and their mother that wanted to shoot it, and I was crossing my fingers. And as you get closer to the date and you're not hearing anything, you have to, in order to function, you just have to accept that this might not happen, and that's it. Right. So I accepted it. However, because I liked Bikini Kill and I didn't know if I was going to get to shoot, I had purchased tickets.
Oh.
I had purchased tickets the day they went on sale. So I had tickets for the show, and I remember it came up that they didn't have any more like comps available, but they had photo passes. And since I had a ticket, I was able to shoot. So that's what
Oh,
happened.
wow. Okay.
That's what happened.
That's
And it went really fast. Like they don't have long songs.
no.
And I feel like that's one of those shows that you shoot not to get like the epic shot. Like it's probably not going to happen, but you're just that's just to be there and to be a part of it. And so that I had a really great night that night. It was really 13-year-old me was very happy.
Yeah, seriously. That's cool. I've always admired her. How did they sound live?
They sounded like Bikini Kill, but like older, and they were tighter. I mean, Bikini Kill, look, they're not like the most advanced band, if that's the word I can use, but they definitely invoke something, or evoke is the right word. They evoke like this really huge energy and this excitement, especially in women. And I think it was really nice having them around. So that's how I felt. Yeah,
that's cool. I liked La Tigre back in the day.
Yeah, they're great too. Never
cool.
tried them. What else you got?
I got. You have a lot of good ones.
I guess so. Do I? I don't know.
Yeah.
There's the imposter syndrome.
Yeah, I know, right? I wanted to ask you about all of them, but I'm like, let me just pick a few. How about Patti Smith?
Okay. Patti Smith. So that was really interesting because it was supposed to be the first night, the first show that Webster Hall, Webster Hall's reopening. And I think Jay-Z did a like, hey, I'm Jay-Z and this is New York. And so I get the first night. I think it was him. Yeah, he did that. He did his special Jay-Z show. So it wasn't the first night, but it was like the first official show. It was like May 1st, I think 2 years ago.
Right.
Michael Stipe was a surprise opener.
I saw that too.
So no one really knew that was going to happen. So that was really great. And again, in any of those shows where you are shooting at a larger venue or mid-sized venue, it's going to be first 3 songs from the photo pit, which has its pluses and minuses. But again, legendary women, you want to be there. You want to be a part of it, not just to see them, but to capture it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she's incredible, and such an important figure in the New York music scene in particular. I've never. I'm trying to think. I might have seen her live at like a festival or something. I can't remember, but she's a very important person. So that's
especially and Webster Hall's so close to like where her youthful shenanigans took place. So I'm sure that means a lot for her. I did see her also at a book signing at Barnes and Noble. I can't remember if it was the same year, but yeah, she was talking about how she walked all the way from Penn Station. And I wondered if it was true because like, how could she go unnoticed? But I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe she's poetic. I wonder if she exaggerates her stories, which I wouldn't mind if she did.
I don't know. I mean, I walked like for years from Penn Station to either, my family's bar, which is
not
on 19th. Thank you. Or on the east side when I was living over there. And I would see people all the time. I mean, I would see like Howard Stern or Bill Murray or like, you name it. Like, so I don't know. Maybe she did.
She probably did. To me, it's one of those where you just wonder, like, are you just like is this affectation?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It
doesn't matter if it was.
No, it doesn't. How about DMX?
DMX was an hour late for his performance.
All right.
DMX, I felt bad for that crowd because they lined up outside and waited forever because he had just gotten out of prison and that was his like comeback tour.
Right.
And they waited outside for so long, especially those people who were up at the barricade. And there were so many openers, just too many openers. And they were dragging it out because he just was being like, I don't know what he was doing. Yeah, he wasn't there. Right. And people started getting angry and a bunch of like this young rap gang I can't even remember their name. They came out and they were performing, and I felt bad for these guys because I was yelling at them and booing them and telling them to get off the stage because they just wanted to see DMX. Oh,
Jeez.
but they handled it well. I think they shouted back a bit. And then he came out, and the best part of that performance, that's one of those where you get the epic shot. It's not just like, hey, I'm part of history. I'm part of you know, whatever, this wonderful moment. But DMX climbed up on the side of Irving Plaza. I don't know. And everyone went crazy. And I had a wide angle lens. It's like a 14-24. So that was awesome. For me as a photographer, I felt like I succeeded and I did a really good job.
Yeah, for sure. That shot's amazing. I have a couple more because like you have so many cool ones. So I when I saw this, and I've seen this one before, so I knew you had it, but I was going back and I saw this again. I had to ask about this. Maynard from Tool.
Oh, Maynard.
Yeah.
So Maynard's like really nice, or at least really like courteous to people like interviewing him. Maynard's a two-parter. So Ethan Fixell, who was the executive director, I think that was his title, of Kerrang! US. I was working with him. He also did some freelance writing, and he was doing a piece on Vice Munchies about Maynard's wine. Yeah. I forgot the name of it off the top of my head. It's something with a C. And he asked me to take they were going to do like a tasting and a pairing with wine and what songs this would go with kind of conversation at Mannahatta down in the financial district. So he asked me to come and just be a fly on the wall and take some photos. So I said that I really liked Maynard because he laughed at my cheesy jokes, like my cheesy, awkward, like jokey, like, and it was a fake laugh, but I appreciated it. Right. I really appreciated it. So that was my first experience with Maynard. He was friendly. You know, he just knew how to handle himself. And the thing is, this is before they released the new album, and Ethan didn't even go into the new, Caduceus, that's the wine. Ethan didn't even go into any Tool music. He didn't bring it up. He knew how to handle himself because he knew that, like, if he started, he's really smart. And he knew that if he brought that up, that the interview could go in a different direction. And all we did was talk about food and wine. So it was nice. I mostly hung out with his bodyguard, who was a really nice guy. So, anyway, my second Maynard experience was when they played Barclays Center in November. I think it was November 18th. One of the editors, deputy art editor from Kerrang, had emailed me and asked me, like, almost last minute if I wanted to shoot that for the magazine. So I was like, I don't know, let me think about it. I'm kidding. I was like, of course I do. Yeah. So we went, and that was really... It was very nerve-wracking. We only got one song. Now, it's a Tool song, so it's long. It was about 10 minutes. But it was. Like, you didn't... But the thing is, like, there were no breaks. There were no moments to, like, regroup. You kind of just had to, like, just go and figure it out. And they had it set up in such a way where every photographer's, like, winning shot was the same. If you look at shows from all over the country, it's this profile shot of Maynard and his like stage mohawk singing. That was the winner. That's the one everybody posted. It was kind of great. You know. So those are my experiences with Maynard.
It's so interesting that you saw him in such in two starkly different settings, you know?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like that's so cool. Like super small. I would imagine it was a small restaurant.
Yeah, it was small. We were all just like hanging out, and like Ethan introduced me. He's like, "Oh, this is Stephanie." I'm like, "I'm gonna take your picture today." Or I said something stupid, like, because I've shot weddings and like baby showers, and so everything that comes out of my mouth when I'm meeting people is cheesy. And yeah, so I didn't feel like starstruck or anything because this is just part of the game. This is just what you do. I feel like if I met Paul McCartney, I'd probably melt. But other than that, I handle it well.
I love that. That's really interesting. I have one last one. I don't know why I'm ending on this one. It's not particularly more important than the others, but I just saw
it's like a little game, having fun. Okay.
Well, that's Andrew Dice.
I remember. It was his birthday yesterday, and I meant to post something on Instagram. Like, I have a picture for that.
Really?
Andrew Dice Clay. I wanted to shoot that. I do particularly remember requesting that because I enjoyed shooting the comedy shows at Gramercy Theater.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was like a chill environment. I didn't feel like I had to run up front and get a million shots, and I could just do some of it and then go home and sleep, which is what I was severely lacking.
Mm-hmm.
So Andrew Dice Clay, I remember from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I saw he was playing. I'm like, I need to see this. It was very raunchy when I was a kid. And that was the one thing that, like, you're not allowed to watch this. And of course, that made you want to watch it more. Exactly. So it was still raunchy, but I felt like his act, after a little while, I was kind of done with it as far as his act goes. But I mean, he's the Dice Man.
He's the Dice Man. Yeah.
He sold out Madison Square Garden years ago.
Yeah,
I believe he did. I mean,
no, 100%.
Not to knock Gramercy
Theater.
It's a nice space, and I really miss it.
Gramercy Theater, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw.
But it's small.
It is very tiny. I saw Lou Reed there once.
Oh, that's pretty great.
Fucking really small. Yeah, he just sat there and just like strummed on a guitar for like 45 minutes and like just stared. I can't speak English for some reason. He was staring at the audience. It was very unsettling, but I guess that's, what he does.
That's kind of Lou Reed. Yeah, that's exactly what I would expect from him.
I love the Velvet Underground.
I met Lou Reed's dad.
What?
Lou Reed's parents, when I was younger, I used to work at the Fleet Bank in Merrick. And Lou Reed's parents were customers there. And I didn't realize that they were Lou Reed's parents. I just knew that the old man that came in and used to chit chat with me was Sidney J. Reed. And I liked him. And he was my favorite customer because I thought he was a cute old man. And I'm like 19. And then one day he looked at me and he's like, "You're young. Do you like rock and roll?" And then it clicked. And I was like, no way. And he started showing me like Lou Reed's like high school pictures and like family pictures. I mean, he's dead now, but so is his son.
That's
anyway.
So
sorry,
cool.
I went off on a tangent because it's a good story.
That's a great story, and he's from Freeport or Baldwin, I think, right? So that makes sense.
Freeport, and then I think they moved to Merrick or something. So yay, Long Island.
Yeah. Well, you grew up in Merrick. Do you have?
I did.
Did you have a favorite? Did you have a record store? That you was a favorite of yours in the 90s? Mine would be Tower Records in Massapequa, but I like to ask
Tower Records.
I'm serious about it.
Yeah.
In
Tower
Massapequa?
Records for sure. Yeah. The one that's where Guitar Center is now, right? No, not Massapequa. Tower Records in Massapequa, and then there's Tower Records in Carl Place. Tower Records in Carl Place. You're from Massapequa, so that's the one I went to, and I remember. Yeah, that's Guitar Center. That was the one I would usually go to. I feel like maybe I remember going to Sam Goody in Sunrise Mall.
Yep.
And I always felt really excited. I remember buying. My mom let me buy Dennis Leary's "No Cure for Cancer" with that song "Asshole" on it, and it had an explicit lyric sticker. And when you're like a little kid, you're just like you feel like you strike gold. But I did like going to Sam Goody, and I did like going to Tower Records and Carl Place, and a little bit after, I would say in the early 2000s, I discovered Empire Discs. I know it sounds like Empire Records, which is cheesy. That was the one that was on Old Country Road.
Where was
and
Empire?
They had like
Empire
old
Disc?
jazz. Empire Discs, it was on Old Country Road. It was like near Stewart Avenue, or maybe it was on Stewart Avenue. Whatever the case may be. I think it was on Stewart Avenue. Stewart Avenue.
How the hell do I not know that?
I don't know, because I feel it probably closed like 10 years ago. But so I liked that place a lot because when I started getting more into jazz and blues, they had like a lot of stuff there that I could get. And you can get it for cheaper than in those chain stores. I also have to throw a nod to Kim's Video on St. Mark's Place. We used to go there in high school and find a lot of great stuff. So there's a few.
Do you remember the Jaffa Cafe on St. Mark's Place?
I do. I ate there once.
Yeah.
Just once, though.
That place was awesome. They had like the backyard that would like open up, and I don't know. I just thought of it because you mentioned St. Mark's. I used to love St. Mark's, you know?
Yeah, it's different now. It's like restaurants, Chinese restaurants. Kim's is now Barcade. And if you
Right.
walk into there, what I always remember about Kim's from when we were kids is that you would walk in and there was that ramp that would go down, and you can feel the ramp when you walk into Barcade. So it just gives me like
Oh, really?
yeah,
Oh,
you
wow.
feel, I mean, it's like, it's different. It obviously looks different, but you could definitely tell that you're in Kim's until you get inside. And then it's just not.
That's
So.
interesting.
Yeah.
The bar, I always think of Barcade in Brooklyn. I know there's one in the city. I didn't
Right.
realize it was on St. Mark's. That's crazy.
It was Kim's. Yeah. It was Kim's Video.
Um,
R.I.P. Tears.
yeah, it's weird because not to plug myself too heavily, but like
Go
we
for
just
it.
put, we just put this record out on last Friday, and we part of it was a distribution deal that led us to be able to put the album out. But
Sure.
we entered into this thing we were able to do this deal where we got into like 40 different record stores across the country. So I always like, for me, it kind of symbolizes like, oh man, like I finally did it, you know? Because like to me, and I understand like it's not like this anymore, but like to me that makes it real. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
yeah,
This is from your, well, I always felt like when I came back to, if we may, when I came back to New York, Long Island, whatever, from Savannah, and my resource was what was around me.
right.
And I was going out and I was seeing all these bands, and I was just kind of floored by like how many talented musicians came out of Massapequa, of all godforsaken places. There was I would always comment on it. I'm like, what is going on in that town? Or did like the right people just find each other,
Yeah,
or what? Like how did it end up working out? And obviously you're a part of that whole thing, but it's crazy. It
it's
was like
fun.
you, Tom, Andrew, Nick, like all
Yeah,
of you guys. It's ridiculous.
it's funny. I don't know. Yeah, I've people have mentioned that, and I don't know. I really
It was
don't
really
know.
weird.
I guess like when you're a kid, it's just like things are happening, and you just assume it's normal. But it was
Right? I
very
don't think it was.
no, I guess not. I mean, like for me, it was so important because I feel like it gave me an identity to find myself in, you know, and you
Sure.
know, outside of that, I think about if I grew up elsewhere, like where would I be? You know, I have if I
You
didn't
don't need to
find
worry about
music,
that.
yeah, no, that's a good point. I know you could drive yourself crazy, like thinking like, oh my God, I'd be in
But I
prison,
also
and
really
I don't know.
appreciated that like crew is kind of a weird word to use, but that
Yeah,
group and all of the bands, like the local bands from Long Island, because I kind of just ran around and like took pictures and was like, this is a band that does this. And I would just post it, and everyone was always like very receptive and took it
yeah,
seriously. And like sometimes when you're a woman working in these scenes, it can be difficult. It can be difficult, but no
of course,
one looked at it that way. Everyone was always like really cool and really, really respectful and open and nice. So, I have fond memories of it was almost 10 years ago, like
yeah,
that I
for
met all of
sure.
you guys. So let's say that much.
If not longer,
It
right?
was about 10 years ago. I'd
Is
say
it
it was
only
like
10?
2011, like early 2011.
Oh, okay. I feel
Time
like I know
flies.
you even longer than that, but no, I mean that
Oh,
is a long time.
Strong
Uh,
Islands. Someone just wrote Strong
that's Beatty.
Island.
What's up, Beatty? How are you? Um, so
Hi.
I have a couple more things. I always get nervous around this
Sure.
time because, like I said, Instagram
Oh
cuts us
yeah,
off at
nears
a
the
certain
end.
point. But I think we have time for a couple more if you're okay with that.
Yeah. Yeah,
All
totally
right,
fine.
cool. So I just want to see what I definitely didn't get to yet that I want to. I mean, okay, well, you brought up seeing bands and you love bands, and that is what got you into kind of shooting in the first place. Are there is there anyone you're excited about currently that maybe people don't know about that you've come across? You know, we know that you've shot Maynard and you've shot Patti Smith, but like who are some people that you've come across that you're excited about that people don't know?
I mean, so I've been going, I've unfortunately had to drive a lot lately because there's no subway access. So I've been trying all sorts of different things on Spotify, and they're not necessarily a new band, but I've been listening to AJJ a lot, and I really like them. They used to be Andrew Jackson Jihad, but they go by AJJ, and like Matt has a constant, Matt's my fiance, boyfriend, whatever you want to say. He has a constant.
He probably wants you to say fiance.
We both have a hard time saying it because it's such a dumb word.
It is.
Yeah, he just said it's so dumb. So he has a constant Spotify playlist going when he's working. And AJJ came up on it like once or twice. And then I'm in the car and I heard one of their songs. I'm like, this is a nice Ramonesy riff. And it was them. And I was like, oh, I know this song. You know how it always goes. And then so I started listening to AJJ radio. And I was just talking about this the other day, but I really think they have like a folky punk sound, but it's not crusty and gross. And I enjoy that. There's some heavy tunes in there, which is always fun. But what I enjoy most about them is the cleverness of the lyrics. It's like very dark, yet very clever and biting. So I've been enjoying them a lot lately, and they stand out. They stand out a lot.
Cool. I will have to put them on my list.
I think you should check it out.
Yeah, that's a name that, like, when you hear that name, it obviously kind of sticks in your brain a little bit. So interesting.
Andrew Jackson Jihad is definitely. I mean, it's clever. You can hear the cleverness just in the name, and I do think that, like, publicity wise, it was probably smart for them to change it to an acronym. But hey,
right.
Yeah,
exactly. I'm curious as to like what you have coming up on the horizon. Obviously, as we've well established, there's kind of no telling when the live scene's going to come back. I know you have certain projects that you're going on that are going on. You talked about the interview project that you just recently put up with that hardcore band. You were doing something, and forgive me, I don't know exactly what the organization does.
Chili's on Wheels.
Meals on Wheels?
Chili's on Wheels. So they are a vegan meal share organization. And
awesome.
I met Michelle Carrera, the founder, at another thing I volunteered at last year. I volunteered at, it was One Health Street Clinic. It was for people experiencing homelessness and their companion animals. And a friend of mine had asked me if I could volunteer and take some photos. So, of course, I did that. And I met Michelle outside because she was giving out vegan meals. And I really, they do a meal share in Tompkins every Saturday. And I was like, one day I'll volunteer, one day I volunteer. And then like, I didn't. And then when the pandemic rolled around, they needed people with cars to do pandemic relief and deliver groceries to families throughout the boroughs. And I live in Queens and I have a car. Yeah. So I saw that in this pandemic, in this situation, that I had a purpose, that there was something I could do. So I went around and dropped off lots of groceries all over in like the Bronx and Queens and some parts of Manhattan, like lower income neighborhoods. I did some grocery packing at Borough Hall. And then I did like a piece on them for Brooklyn Vegan because it fit. It fit. The founder of Brooklyn Vegan is a vegan. So I did that, and that's nice. And I still volunteer for them sometimes on Fridays. I'll pick up food at a restaurant because they work with Support and Feed. That it was founded by Billie Eilish's mom, Maggie Baird. Yeah. So they're one of the like organizations affiliated with them. So she, I guess, gets restaurants on board. They cook all these meals, and these smaller organizations distribute. Wow. So I've been driving and picking up meals and bringing them to East Harlem sometimes on Fridays. Yeah, that's what I've been doing with them. In terms of other projects, I've been trying to like expand horizons. I have another interview that I'm working on with an author for a book he wrote. That should be coming out in like the next week or two. And then I did another video. I'm not going to say.
Okay.
Huh?
You're not getting.
Yeah.
Can you
well,
say...
it's good. It's a Yeah, it's a book called Rock Bottom at the Renaissance. It was written by a guy named Mike, I believe you pronounce his last name Henneberger.
Okay.
But it's the story is about it's like a few days of debauchery, but the poetry of the writing is all tied in with bands that mattered to him. And the lyrics are included as well. So it's very music focused. And his writing style is very conversational. So we're going to actually sit down and chit chat next week. And then I'm going to piece all of that together. So I have that. And then I sat down for a video project, another one with Chris Enriquez. He works for Revolver. He's one of their brand managers, and he's in Spotlights and another band, Total Meltdown. So I sat down and talked with him because he's been around since like the 90s hardcore scene on Long Island, and you know, he's made it work, and he's a really nice, interesting person to talk to. And what I've been doing with these video projects is that I've been using this pandemic to pivot and expand and to work and do some video work as well. So I've been looking at them as video production exercises as well. It's on B-roll footage, linking that all together. So that I'll finish after the review, and that is what I'm doing with this pandemic life.
That's a lot. That's a lot of stuff. It sounds like you haven't slowed down at all.
I guess I don't know if I can. You know how it is. You know how it is. You haven't slowed down.
No, quite the opposite, actually.
Yeah.
Well, this has been great. Thank you so much. I wanted to.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, you spoke to your current projects a little bit, but like, I just want to give you the floor if you want to plug anything or like let people know where they can find you and all that jazz.
Probably Astoria Park doing workouts. That is usually where people
don't mean literally
find me these days.
I don't mean literally.
Oh,
don't say that.
I'll have some stuff coming up on Brooklyn Vegan and on the Photo Ladies website. Hopefully when Live Nation has shows, you'll find me at Irving Plaza and Gramercy Theater again, because I really miss those spots the most. So fingers crossed.
Yeah. And I hope to be there catching a show and catching up with you too. Hopefully we get that opportunity soon.
It'll come one day.
So much.
Thanks so much, Mike. It was fun.
Yeah. Sorry about the technical difficulties in the beginning. But
I think it was
I'm glad we got it worked out.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know what happened, but we made it work, and I think we had a hit on a lot of really interesting stuff. I think.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciated I enjoyed it. Yeah. Have a great night. Bye, everybody.
Well, you too. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, great. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.